Hello, welcome back to Al Talks. Just Jesus. Anyway, yes, welcome back to Al Talks. I am going to be talking about uh, what am I going to be talking about? Box comedy. Yes, correct. Let me just camera. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about how box comedy went Wednesday night. This will be released on the 13th. Box comedy happened on the 7th. So um, I started off the night before I went over to perform a box comedy. Went down to Stitch New Material Night in Cassidy's, and I usually do that because um, I get to meet new comics, get to meet old comics, have a chat, have a giggle, and I also sat in Cassidy's and wrote out all the jokes that I was going to do that night. So I got to meet a great comedian called Ed Kerr. He lives over in London where he gigs. So we had a chat about clubs that he performs at, English clubs and stuff like that. So, and he told me some things that I didn't know, that in order to perform at all those clubs, um, there is a gong show involved in order for you to perform there. Now, as you know, I don't have good experiences with gong shows, as well, as I've told before from the start of the year, and but I'm definitely happy to try it again. So that'll be if I ever go over to England and want to perform in those clubs there, which I do. Like I said, I'm going to try and perform down the south and Northern Ireland and then England some stage. Hopefully next year, we'll see. But anyway, so I went down. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see Ed's set because it was after, because I had enough time to watch the first half before the break in comedy, and so that, you know, some really good comedians. A very good friend of mine was performing, and there was a comic there who was performing for the first time in Ireland. He used to do comedy about 10 years ago in Canada, and this comedian, like, he comes out and he just says all his jokes in a monotone voice, just like hello to the, but he kills. He absolutely kills. Actually, later on in the video, I'll explain some comedy terms as well. Um, it was like his material was really good, brilliant stuff. I really enjoyed it. So then I got to watch those few comedians, and then off I went to the Haypenny. Um, there was another guy performing comedy for the first time ever, David, and he actually won box comedy that night. It was his first time ever on stage, and he won because his material was brilliant. Like, it was without a doubt a well deserved win. I had a chat with him beforehand because I usually go up and introduce myself to all the comedians, both new and old, and he said, he goes, look, it's my first time going up there, so I gave him the advice that Joey Diaz told people before. He goes, whatever you have, 5 minutes or whatever, just go up and do it. Just get up there and talk it out. Just, if you get nervous or just kind of try and push through it and stuff, whatever. And, he delivered. He had a really good stage presence. He was probably nervous as hell up there, but once again, like I said, he won. So the start of the first start of many, hopefully for him. Um, and then when I went up, I did my 4 brand new jokes. Happy with 2 need rewriting, and I kind of knew that. So I don't mind. So go back to drawing boards, script it around a little bit different, and So yes, I'm happy with the other two jokes that worked because I wasn't sure how they were going to pan out, but the other two that I have to rewrite, I don't mind. Like it's okay. Um, um, any other things? Oh yes, I was going to explain comedy terms. So, um, you probably have heard me use these terms a couple of times now. Um, the first comedy term, I suppose, is material is the jokes you write. Another one is I mentioned first halves and second halves. I don't know how it is in other comedy clubs, but the ones I perform at, how it usually is there's a couple of comedians go on. It's usually about three or four, and depending on how packed the lineup is. Then there's a break, usually about 10 or 15 minutes, and then you come back for the last part of the show. Some places would have two breaks. Some places only have the one break. Um, so that's usually how a comedy club goes down. Um, any other terms? No, I'm put in the spot. Can't think off the top of my head. So that's another term. A bit is a joke. That's a really good bit. Like for example, uh, material and bit is different because a bit is usually something you're working on, whereas material would be kind of, well, I have good material, solid jokes at work. So a bit is kind of like a work in progress version of material before it becomes material, essentially. What other thing? Bombing. That's another one. Bombing is when you do bad. As the thing suggests, bombs are not a good thing. So when you bomb, it's bad. Getting the light is another one. Getting light is basically, usually in the clubs I perform at, it's about a minute before you finish up. It's but usually it's in a club. There's usually a light that shines, but we just use the MCs just use their hand and their phone to go. That means you have about a minute left before you have to get off the fucking stage. And if you don't, I actually ran the lighter box comedy, but because I had to do an emotional, not an emotional thing, but I may have come across like that. I just thanked Jason and Kevin and said, I started here in the Halfpenny. It was an honor, a privilege to perform there, which it is. A lot of comedians um, started there that they're still performing comedy. So it's quite a legendary place to start out comedy in Dublin. And I'm really glad I started out there because it's a very nice, supportive environment. And so there's that. Bombing is not good. Killing it, obviously, if you're doing good. And he killed the show last night. He killed it. That's another term. Um, his bombing is killing. Hecklers. Hecklers, as it suggests, is someone in the audience who thinks they're funnier than a comedian and they shout something out. For some comedians, it's their worst nightmare. For others, not so much. I've been heckled a lot of times. It depends on how I usually deal with it. It depends on the heckler's drunkenness level. If they're very, very drunk, they're just gonna shout shit out the whole time continuously. If it's just completely gone out. Usually at that stage, the MC will ask them to either stop talking or to leave. So they've been very rude and disruptive. I've seen it multiple times. Um, there's a couple of friends of mine who perform comedy who you do not want to heckle. Dean Murphy is one of them. I think I spoke about him before. You do not want to heckle him. He will put you down so quickly. You will sit down and start to rethink your entire life up to that single point. Because I remember the first ever Giggles night he was performing, and he gets up on set, and literally 30 seconds later, the two people start talking. And he was like, "Hey, I'm up here. Stop talking." And they were like, "Oh, sorry," but they were They were from an office background. They've never been to a comedy club, so I don't know. But anyway, so hecklers, bombing, killing, bitch material. Sketch is another one. Sketch is basically sketch and skit are kind of the same. You can make a sketch with on your own or with one people. Usually you see it a lot now on Instagram. To make like funny videos, how Irish mammies are or how other things. And I don't. I think that's about it. Really, is there another comedy words that require explaining? I don't think. Sellotape. No, sellotape's not a comedy term. Getting the light, bombing, killing it, bit materials, skit, sketch. The breakdown of how the comedy club works, time wise. I think that's about it. I don't have any other ones. But yeah, I think that's it. So I will a bit under the weather. Yeah, so I think that's it. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. I have no idea when we'll be doing comedy next. Like I said, it's going to be a bit of a. I am performing at Stitch's new material night on the 4th. No, not the 4th of November, I think the 2nd. If my calendar date is correct. I think it's the 2nd. Yeah, 2nd of November. So I have no idea about October. I'll probably try and get down and do one because you see it's going to be a bit. Work's going to be very busy. And I think that's it really. I don't have any other ones. Yeah, I think that's it really. I mean, like I said, thanks for listening. Thanks for all the support. Oh, there is one more thing. Al Talks podcast sticker that you can purchase for €250. Help support me and the podcast. If you want one of those, you can message me on my social media or email me and I'll get one out to you. I also have Buy Me Coffee now, which you can support. It'll be in my link tree down below if you would like. Other than that, that is it for this week's episode. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, thanks for all the support, and I shall see you next week.